Welcome back to the Heroes Global Championship. Currently, we're watching Expert as they take on Dignitas, and it's been a pretty solid series so far. Game number 1, Expert came out with something a bit different, tried to tease Dignitas. Dignitas says, nuh-uh, that ain't happened today. And then we go into game number 2, and Expert showed up.
Yeah, they definitely did, and the team coordination was fantastic in the last game. If they can do that again in a few of the upcoming maps, that could definitely pose a problem for Dignitas. But you already said that you would expect now Medivh maybe again targeted in the bans,
Yeah.
and that is definitely one of the ways how Dignitas could deal with that threat.
It's one of the ways that majority of teams say, okay, we're facing Expert, no Medivh. Let's try and figure out the rest of the drafts from here. Let's go ahead and figure out the battleground for game number 3, as we're currently all tied up here with a 1-1. The battleground will be BOE, and the choice is by Expert. And Expert, I love when they pick this battleground, man, because they always show something different.
Yeah, they definitely do, and they were playing really well in the last map, and this is another one where Medivh oftentimes is being played by them. And again, I'm thinking about maps where they don't play Medivh at all, and there's very, very few that come to mind.
Doesn't exist. Maybe on Pool Party Stitches. It's probably the only one they can play Medivh on.
That's the first one where I would play Medivh.
All day, every day, man.
Yeah, exactly. You just go through the portal, you have all the stitches on one side, and then you say, okay, it's playtime.
It's playtime, man. All right, guys. BOE, let's get this started here. First ban of the game will be awarded to Dignitas, as Expert has picked the battleground.
Before the draft starts, I have to say that really quickly. If you haven't played the current Brawl yet, if you have not played Pool Party Stitches, make sure that you check it out. It's, in my opinion, by far the best Brawl that we had thus far. It is fantastic. So a huge shout out to the developers. That idea was awesome.
Yeah, and don't forget to hook someone before you go down, because it's 3 points of damage, man. It's incredibly good. Yeah. It's crazy how like advanced strategies are already becoming a thing. Like you're trying to deny damage and trying to combo on people. It's so fun.
Yeah, but there's a team that doesn't want to play the pool party anymore. It is Team Expert. They already banned him once. They're banning him again. No more playtime for Stitches, and it allows Team Dignitas to head into the Uther for the first one.
So Uther has been picked up. Team Expert, what are you going to move into? Last time we saw them move into a support, and then they grabbed the Dahaka. They're going to grab Tassadar here instead on BOE, which is a good battleground for him.
Yeah. Is it a bad battleground for Tassadar?
Warhead.
Is that a thing, or did you just throw it out?
Just throw it out there. Who's going to tell me I'm wrong? Who's going to do it?
Twitter,
let me know.
Twitter and chat, have you comment on that?
They got me. They'll let me know. Tassadar Ariel. So Expert brings out the double support.
Great start for them here. So once again, we're having a focus on the hyper carries. Double support is the meta now. We all know it. The only team that hasn't caught up on it yet, and that's because they don't have to, is Fnatic. They beat it quite handily every time. They're doing really well against it. And the one thing that I thought was really cool is when we saw a Malthael against the double support. So I would not necessarily want to see here, even though on Battlefield of Eternity he's great against the Immortal. But I would overall like for teams against double support to maybe play around Malthael a little bit more. That level 7 talent is just so impactful if your opponent is relying on double heals. I would say even more so if the opponent does not run the Tassadar as the second healer, but maybe as a combo of Auriel Uther or Auriel Rhaegar.
Yeah, I mean, we saw its effectiveness earlier when Fnatic ran it. The Anub'arak and Illidan will be picked up, but I agree with you. The more we see Malthael, the more we see double support. I expect to see more Malthael. He's not only a tank killer, to a degree, he's a support killer with Tormented Souls and that 7 talent.
To be honest, I could see him here even. Because now we're having an Uther already taken, and you have the Illidan. So there is a good chance that Dignitas says, hey, we want a second support. There's a few still floating around, and the reason why I said I want to see the Malthael more so against comps that don't involve a Tassadar is simply because Tassadar doesn't excel with the healing. Yeah. Tassadar has his shields that he puts out. So the level 7 talent of Malthael really counters healing in team fights. So if, for example, Expert at this point says, hey, we still need a solo laner, who are we going for here? Malthael could be good, because once the Dignitas picks up a second support, they have a huge amount of heal for Illidan. But if we shut that down with Malthael's level 7 during team fights, we have a much better chance of locking him out and taking him apart. One of the problems that you have with it is that you are starting to really miss out on decent stuns that can lock Illidan down.
which is pretty important. You gotta
Yeah.
make sure you have the lockdown for that Illidan. You want that moment, that big part in the moment. Okay, we're all in on killing this Illidan, because usually if you can't get through that, you're gonna fall apart. Now, second ban coming out for Dignitas is looking like it might be Lenara. With double support beyond the opposing team, Medivh becomes less likely of a pickup for the team, so Lenara is a fine and dandy choice, especially when you know that there is going to be an auto-attacker picked up at some point throughout this draft.
So, the double pick for Expert. This is where they are going to reveal quite a lot. Malthael is open, solo laner would be good, even though in Battlefield we see teams occasionally now break through the established 4-1 split. So it could be that they're heading into a 2-3 split instead. But Malthael would be a good solo laner. Dehaka is open. We see that oftentimes as teams attempt to hit level 10 before their opponent does, through the side soak that Dehaka allows. But Expert also still need their front line, and they still need a damage dealer, and that could be Vala. Vala would be a really good pick for them here with the double support that they are running.
You know, with the Nubrek not being available for them. Varian was one that we saw a lot for Bad Betty in particular. He has a pretty decent Diablo too, but Diablo into an Illidan Uther might be a bit hard to pull off. They're going to go ahead and pick up a thorough Sonya, which is that top laner you were asking for.
Sonya instead of the Malthael. Muradin has been taken, so there we have our stuns and the lockdowns against Illidan. Sonya, of course, also excels against Illidan with the single target damage she can put into play. And we still need a range damage dealer. And right now, Dignitas could decide to pick up the Vala for themselves and then Expert. Who are you going into if they pick the Vala away now? Are you actually running this with maybe a Zul'jin even?
That's what I was thinking. Zul'jin would be the automatic go-to with the Tassadar being on the field.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid in that regard. There is Sergeant Hammer, which we've seen them play in the past. Not really the most efficient use of the Aerial Hope, but she still does a decent job of giving out that damage. We'll have to see here what they're going to go for, because we still need Dig to take the Vala. If not, Vala's a sure pickup here for Expert.
Vala is one of the advantages of having Vala in your draft is that you also have a lot of pressure against the Immortal. Sonya delivers that to an extent for Experts, and they can spec Muradin even into Sledgehammer if they wanted to. It's not really the most common talent these days. Normally it's at least the perfect storm though. But Liming is taken, and we have Karazim, and now I would expect that we are seeing a switch in the double support. Or is Snitch gonna take over for Liming and Mane is still playing the second support here? I think the opposite is more likely.
Yeah, I think you give Mane Liming. I mean, that's...
It's his most iconic hero.
Yeah,
so.
he destroys her and the KT. Like, if you don't see Mane on those heroes when they're in this roster, something feels off. Okay, Expert. The obvious choice here is the Vala. Are you going to be moving into it, or do you plan on throwing a wrench into the plans of, I guess, us up here at the commentating desk?
They are really thinking quite long about this. So Vala is definitely floating around here, but they are having another thought process. And at this point, I hope it's not Vala, because I want to see what they're thinking. It's definitely one of the heroes they're considering right now, but with them taking this much time, they have another thought here, and I want to see that. Maybe,
for Illidan Karazim?
It could be. We have seen her before in that, but they go for... Okay, Tracer. It's a little bit difficult for the Oriole to get the heals, and oftentimes it's not a point and click, so you need to make sure that you hit that. That's the reason why I was actually shying away from the Tracer in the prediction here. It definitely works if you do it well, and if you communicate well, it works, but it's a lot harder to get the heal in with the Oriole against the Tracer if you have to hit her in the middle of a team fight.
They might not even worry about trying to heal it. Say, okay, Tassadar, you keep those shields on top of the Tassadar, or the Tracer, allow for her to heal up with that lifesteal, and we're just going to keep these heals that we get from him and put it on Sonya and Muradin and let them be completely unkillable and just be in your face. And Tracer, we'll just rely on you to just kill it. Mechanics, worst case scenario, if you need a heal, you come back to me.
Yeah. Illidan can really shine here, and the Karazim is also quite interesting. If you isolate the Muradin at any point and you get the 7-sided in, that would also be quite strong. I assume right now that they go into the 7-sided over the Palm, since they already have the Divine Shield on Uther, unless they of course decide that they need the stun here, then you could just swap the two around. But yeah, solid draft, double support on both sides, and we have a tie in the series as well. But this is of course going to change as one of the teams will be victorious and claim a lead on Battlefield now.
Well, we're ready. Who will get that lead here? Battlefield of Eternity, Expert, and Dignitas currently tied 1-1. Who will step up here and continue to move forward in this best-of-5 series?
Game number 3, the tie in the series, and to the left we have Dignitas with Mena on Li Ming on his mage, JPL on Anubrak, Zelia on Illidan, and the double support played by the UK boys, Bakery on Uther, and Snitch on Karazim.
Right side in the red, it's gonna be Bad Benny playing Muradin, a Thorough on Sonya, Nick on Tracer, Kirsten on Ariel, ADRD on Tassadar, and the ping will come in for our team. So we're gonna do a quick second pause here and get set up and figure out which talents we want to pick up.
Yeah, so I'm still wondering a little bit about the split that you're going for now, because you have Sonya on one hand, and that's a little bit easier to pull off than what we're seeing for Dignitas. So I could actually see that Dignitas is starting to switch the lineup a little bit and puts Illidan together with the support on the solo or the solo lane, and having the other run by 3 players. So that is actually one of the things that I could see here. Would definitely help Illidan out, would have put more pressure on Sonya, probably to an extent where experts will have to react and say, hey, we put another hero now also up on that lane. So a 3-2 split is kind of likely at this point. When it comes to the Immortal race, on the other hand, though, I think that especially Dignitas has a pretty solid stance there.
They do. They have the Li Ming poke. They have Karazim that can peel off themselves. And with Uther being here for the heals, they can afford to allow the Karazim to go off and start to burn down that Immortal. On the other side, though, you do have Sonya, who herself, if you're able to sit on the defense side, she could do pretty well at chunking out the Immortal as well. Yeah,
that's a good point. I'm pretty sure we can throw up the draft again while we're waiting for the players to actually get ready here. Just have another closer look at that. When it comes to frontline also, I'm interested to see how much of an impact Muradin is going to have with this now.
Muradin on this map in particular has been floating around pretty often in terms of... Oh, hang on there. We should go ahead and join this game, Caldor. Thank you, Caldor, for helping out. Muradin's been running a lot of the Stormbolt talents. Usually at level 1, you see that perfect storm coming in there, and it comes down to the adjustment at the level 4. Do you need the second pop that comes around for level 13 if you need to be more tanky, or you can go into the full Q build and help burn down those Immortals? He can be pretty impactful in this battleground in particular. In fact, I feel like this is the best map for Muradin nowadays.
I'm not sure if it's really the best one, but I would agree that he's probably the one where you see him the most. I feel it depends a lot on the team that plays him. So far, who do we see playing Muradin? It's mostly Dignitas, actually.
Yeah.
More so than anyone else. This time we have Expert with Muradin here, and I would say we see most of the time on this map, since you have the extra stack on your level 1, you have a lot more damage also when you're trying to look for burst. What I think would be cool if we see a bit more of a focus at some point onto the Sledgehammer on 4, which we have seen in the past. It's quite understandable why teams moved away from this, since you are trying to have more survivability with Muradin. But it was always cool to just see how much damage he can do against structures and against the Immortal once you get a decent stack going on your level 1 talent.
Yeah, if the Sledgehammer comes in, you just make the call on your team to move in for the engage and try to fight. And let's move in to the game here. Battlefield of Eternity, game number 3 between our two teams. The Expert and Dignitas facing off, and they'll charge in the battle.
So as we said before, we're having currently to the left side here, JPL rocking the Anubrak. We talked about Mena, of course, being on his Li Ming, the mage. Seeing Snitch on Karazim, Zelia on Illidan, and we have Bakery on Uther.
Expert on the right here, ADRD on Tassadar, Kirsten on Ariel, Nick on Tracer, a Thorough on Sonya, and Bad Benny playing Muradin. What level 1 are you going to pick up, Mr. Muradin?
I would be surprised if it isn't. Actually, I mean, you can argue about both. If he is the frontliner here and you see the constant poke coming in from Li Ming, you can also simply go into the regeneration, just improving the trade a bit so that you can eat that damage and then still heal up, that none of the healers has to deal with you at this point. There's definitely a lot of options that you have in Muradin. It's one of the cool things about him that his talent depth on a lot of the talents is pretty high. We still have the Illidan up against the Sonya at the top, so none of the supports is making a way over to that solo lane to help out here. And Muradin decided that against Illidan, and I guess also Karazim, block would probably be the most helpful tool here.
Interesting pickup there. Let's see. I mean, it makes sense, obviously. I was actually leaning a little bit more towards that third win because of the Li Ming poke that you mentioned, and that way my Oriel and my Tracer, or my Tassadar, can focus on the Sonya and my Tracer. But block gonna work out there, especially when Karazim drops off the punches. And interesting to see Snitch on the Karazim, Bakery on the Uther here. It's just so weird to see Bakery not on Karazim when he's here for Dignitas.
Yeah, oh, there comes the damage. Nearly as ADRD shifts away. It's really funny now to have Mene again back on the Li Ming, because after the first game in particular, we had a bit of banter going here between Fnatic and Dignitas. You know, Shrimpy was immediately starting to call out Mene and saying, Mene is my favorite support player in Europe, which Mene, of course, didn't take too kindly to, immediately replying, are you flaming me, bro? And of course, it was after the first game, but Mene said, don't worry about it, I will bring back the Li Ming, I will bring back the mage power, and that's the game that allows him to show that off. It is his most iconic hero, and we have said that before. In the past, he single-handedly, after getting resets, has destroyed the opponent's team, and that's what he's going to look for here.
Yeah, it's very apparent that he's not a fan of playing support, but he's willing to do it for his team. That's what makes him a great player here. But when he's on a mage man, he will shut down opponents like no other. Now, the Immortal race begins for both of our teams at 2 minutes, and the Immortal phase in the bottom has taken poke as Team Expert's done pretty decently. However, with Illidan being on the top, Team Expert is having to peel off Sonya and Tracer to go focus Illidan. Yeah,
Illidan is still up at the top and being pressured back. Tracer, of course, just zipping away. Nick has shown off some great Tracer play already. But for now, it's the gank at the bot lane that they have to worry about. Bad Benny jumps out and is able to get away.
Wow,
activates the trade here too.
Stepping up there, calling out the teammate. Bad Benny dodged out in the impale, and with the teammate strike popping out, Bad Benny was able to survive. But the Immortal, maybe not so much here. As a Thorough and Nick rotate in and get it low.
It's a high-stakes game, and you can already tell both of the teams are really putting the effort in. In this case, we're having Tacita deciding that he wants to go for the extra armor over the life leech. So more so worried about the burst that comes out from Li Ming in particular, and also about the front line, trying to help them out.
Bakery keeping up in the front here. The Immortal halftime show has connected, and Team Expert has a pretty substantial lead.
I actually want to talk about the Tacita talent just for a second, since a lot of people with the Tracer as a combo are probably looking at it and are a bit confused by it. The main reason is that you really want to also help out Muradin and Sonya, and you can't really do that with a life leech, since they will not benefit from it that much. So when you throw out the shield as a Tacita onto the front line, it's much better to have the armor. So Sonya and Muradin are going to benefit way more from that.
Does mean that Nick will have to be a bit more careful with his engages. His lifesteal won't be as effective, but still great. And then Kirsten will have to bring out a few more heals. But the idea of keeping your tanks nice and healthy and having that armor is always a solid one. Team Expert grabs the first Immortal of the game, and they'll start pushing in that top lane, while the experience lead for both our teams seems to be a bit similar.
Yeah, we have also for Dignitas now a situation where they are giving up an early Immortal. They need Illidan to become a bit stronger, and that is exactly one of the reasons why I would wait here. Unless you find an option or an opportunity to snowball this a bit, you're willing to miss out on a few of the early fights. If you commit too hard and you lose an Illidan there, you lose the Immortal too, then you are going to suffer way more. But this is of course great for Expert to set themselves apart a little bit, which they're trying to do by taking the structures down. And the best case scenario would be the fort taken down, but that is unlikely to happen as Dignitas just wails away and even looks for the kill.
Baker comes in with a stun, but with the shields being here for Tracer, she's not being popped off. But you are correct in your assessment of whether this fort would go down, only taking about a little over a quarter health, and will stand here nice and tall. Dignitas, on the other hand, has peeled off Illidan and stayed in that bottom to keep soaking and even look towards grabbing mercenary camps. In fact, they go to invade the top and realize that Expert, they haven't made a play yet. They're just trying to match here in terms of muscle.
And another thing that is extremely important here to point out is that we have a few talents adjustments. And this is always one of the things it's just the beauty of Heroes of the Storm in general. And the most important talent that we're actually seeing at this point is when you look at the Muradin, his level 4 choice. So he was in this case now trying to slow down the auto attacks of Illidan even more. It's a very traditional talent to pick up. Normal build is to go for the Thunderburn and then combo it off with a healing on level 13 later on. But in this case, it is the Reverberation that we are having. And this is very reminiscent to what we have seen roughly a year ago, when against any Illidan build, you would immediately use a Muradin with Reverberation. The whole idea is that you reduce his attack speed even more. And if you can shut down Illidan's attack speeds, then he is losing all that momentum he gains through cooldown reduction and self-heal. So it's a cool adjustment to see on the side of Muradin, and it explains even a little bit more why Tacita goes into his armor talent on level 4. Because if Muradin has that self-heal through the Thunderburn and the healing static synergy, then he is less reliant on the supports helping him out.
It's impressive how with one hero coming into a composition, Team Expert has changed out that Muradin build. It's an old school build, but it's one that's very effective at shutting down that Illidan. I can say that when you play Illidan and you get hit by the reverberation, you actually hate life for a few seconds.
And it's not only the Illidan, it's also Karazim that you can affect with it too. So there's definitely a lot of value that they have, and it shows the priority of Expert. But this is really one of the things that shows clearly that depending on what you play against, think about what is the biggest threat and if a talent adjustment would be necessary for you. And at this point, Team Expert, they are doing very well here, playing very aggressive.
They do fall behind in the Immortal race, though, which is a bit unfortunate. Team Dignitas is able to set up and siege on this left side, so Expert is forced to be in a spot where they actually come here and contest. Sonya has filled off to work on the other Immortal, which indicates to Dignitas they should go for an engage. JPL will lead the charge and drop the Impale.
Yeah, Ethereal, on the other hand, working on the right side, but the halftime show has been reached by Dignitas. And Mene with Calamity has now a super important tool. He likes to be aggressive. He wants to be in the opponent's face, and this is what he's going to try and do later. Great combo already hit by the mage of Dignitas. Expert still pushing up here. For now, of course, also trying to defend their own Immortal, as it is already down on 50% HP.
I'm going to watch Mene here, as he has shown multiple times that he is willing to delete Tassadars off the battlefield if he's given the chance here. He's done it a couple times behind our backs, actually, in commentary. So yeah. I'm going to watch Mene, I'm going to watch ADRD here, because if he gets focused down, that Calamity is going to come in handy.
Mene is definitely one of the biggest threats on the side of Dignitas. If you give him one of the mages that he excels at, he can annihilate an opponent's hero within a second. But both of the teams are working towards the 10, and Team Expert is way faster with it. They're doing extremely well here. Now even putting the pressure on the JPL. If they get the heroic ability, Dignitas will soon have to back off. And Dignitas is playing with fire here.
They are playing with fire. They know they want to burn down the Immortal. If they can win the Immortal race before 10 hits, it would be great for them, or even get a pick off. They're not quite getting it, though. Expert is well aware of the intentions of Dignitas. Orb does connect with ADRD. He is alive on the side. Nick will get the shield. He starts to move forward, and they are sitting on top of Mene. The Pulse Bomb goes off. Will be healed there because of the armor, but it's not enough. Leeming falls, and Expert hits 10.
That's the 10, and they need more than that. They need to take at least Illidan down. Oh, Ethereal again with the leap, but misses it. They still will be able to take Xayah down. That's a double kill. But it is a high shield Immortal that we have for Dignitas. They won't get a lot out of it, since Experts should be allowed to simply deep-push it quite easily up at the top. But we have for Team Expert only one hero at the bot lane, where Dignitas is currently just shielding free. So Ethereal will have to try and at least push that back a little bit. As Dignitas doesn't have 10 yet, that's fine. But now that they hit the heroics, he needs to be careful, because he has the Cocoon already.
Cocoon comes out, and Tassadar will walk forward and bring out the beam and slow it down. A Thorough on the right side. He's trying to dance here, just going to the bottom left, knowing that he'll be body blocked. Hope for some possibility he can get away, but Dignitas is too good at the execution. They move in, kill him off, and we're going to have the Immortal still pushing in the top.
But also an unnecessary death. You know that your opponent is about to hit the 10. You won't save the wall anyways, so he should have moved back way earlier than that.
Sure.
But overall, Tassadar was there for the experience, so that's fine, but they lose the fort. And if you think about it, right now, they have still taken a lot with that Immortal.
They really did.
Even though they had a later 10, they lost 2 heroes, they nearly killed the fort at the top, and they took down the one at the bot lane. So it's still a massive win for them, even though they lost those 2 heroes.
Yeah, they lost 2 heroes, but in exchange, they almost got 2 forts. The other one's pretty low, and they got a kill. So 2 kills for 1 kill, 1 fort, and an almost dead fort. That's Value Town right there, and Team Dignitas got to be happy about that one. Expert will need to make sure on the next Immortal phase that they start getting kills, or at least win the Immortal race, because right now, Dignitas, with them hitting level 10, they have the Engage, they have Divine Shield, and they have the blow-up potential.
Yeah, the Hunt in particular. I love that Hunt is meta now over the Metamorphosis.
Same.
Just simply because it is so fun to watch and cast. It is absolutely great that this has become now very normal. And I actually really also, while we're talking about Hunt, I really enjoy that we have more leap coming in from Expert. They showed that already once, and in this game, yes, he missed the leap, but still, it is beautiful.
Missed the leap, but still heard the sound effect, which is the most important part of that leap. Gilly, in particular, will let you guys know that at home. Ask her later for the sound effect. She absolutely kills it.
I still don't think that North America has sold on it yet. I feel we have to get Gilly in for one of the A-Team Expert casts just to make sure that she gets a shot at it.
We need a PSA for North America. Gilly says play. Leap.
So, for now, bot lane, Sonya holding the experience. It's all about the 13 right now. 13 when the Immortal comes into play. And both of the teams should successfully pick up the talent. But Expert, they are defending up to the top now their own fort. And getting that wave cleared and that camp, of course, that's going to be their highest priority. And should also get the level 10. Down here on the other hand. Oh, sexy! Dodging the cocoon by leaping. Now the problem is that your cooldown on the cocoon resets to 10 and it's ready again, whereas leap is now still on a 60-second cooldown. And that is, yeah, that's one of those mechanics that a lot of people are not really happy about these days.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate, but maybe they can turn it around. They still have their Sonias that allows for them to at least defend here. They got 13 before their opponents 2. So Team Expert will move in. The hunt comes out. It's going to be on Murden. He's getting focused down. The Immortal is burning through here. A thorough low on health, and he's going to die.
Yeah, he's going to die, and now he didn't have the leap to jump out there. There's a big discussion that is going on right now with the reset on the cocoon, because basically Dignitas in that fight traded. They did only gain a cooldown. They traded a 10-second cooldown for a 60-second cooldown, which is perfect for them. And when the fight actually started, it became a massive problem that leap wasn't available for Sonya anymore. I can tell you that Ethereal right now is extremely salty about that.
Well, for now, Team Expert continues to hold at the moment. A few cooldowns were actually traded out there on the top left since a couple kills came in. Team Expert going to take the opportunity to burn some of the Immortal down. Now, Sonya is back as well as Bad Benny. Age is being used, but the Immortal stun props Tassadar up into the air.
And in comes the hunt. So Sonya is back by now and has leap, could use it, but gets also pushed away. Bad Benny low, stun comes in against Curson, and we see Zelia just murdering Murden here. This is Dignitas gaining so much momentum. Again, the cocoon. Do they get the stuns? Of course they do. But Ethereal still able to get away as he gets a tiny window where he can use his ult.
The leaps are being used for disengage, not engage. Nick looking for a kill. He's going to recall back, and Team Expert seems to be staggering deaths and falling desperately to Dignitas. As Dignitas will finish up the Immortal, or at least get us up to a spot where they can get the halftime show. But Dig right now in a really solid spot as their Immortal is much more healthy.
Yeah, Dignitas is looking quite strong here. They are now all of a sudden the ones that are dictating what's happening here. So we have them in a slight experience lead, but they are racing the Immortal down, and they are there with 5 already, trying to burst it as fast as they can. So they're going to win another Immortal, and this time they are on the map with 5 heroes, so they can just execute a much stronger push.
Yep, they'll be pushing in this top lane. Team Expert's looking to fight now. They know that they want to fight, so they have an easier time defending, because their defense is pretty mediocre. In fact, I would say it's less than mediocre, as Tracer is the one that really has to move forward and really be on that spot, as well as Sonya. But that opens up the opportunity for Dignitas to move in and poke.
If they can get maybe a good leap on a target, but that is going to be quite rough. Ideally, you set it up by using Murden, Stormbolt, and then getting a chain stun going, but that's definitely tricky. Illidan jumps in here once again. They're already zoning them a bit, but that Immortal has still shields available, so he is still ranged attacking. Once that the shield is gone, the Immortal switches from a range to a melee attack, and will have to get much closer to those towers, so it's easier to take down. And that's what they're doing right now. Here comes the leap into the back. They nearly get the kill against Mene. He gets away. Tracer tries to finish him off, but the Divine Shield comes out. A small problem with the coordination here, but that was very scary.
Still a big leap, hitting 3 people, which does force Dignitas to pull away from the area, which will allow Team Expert to focus down the keep in the top right. Team Dignitas instead will head to the bottom and at least open up a turret here to move towards 16. They have to be careful though, as Team Expert was willing and has shown that they will chase if the opportunity presents itself.
I love that. That was a really cool move. The rest of the team was a bit slow on this, but it was half a second that decided about Mene dying or living here. And if he falls, then they might be able to get even a second kill after that. But as it stands, we have Dignitas barreling through the wall at the top and threatening the keep, and we have them in a lead in experience. So the 16 talent has dropped for them. 4 kills against 2 overall. Illidan comes in with a hunt, 7-sided being used, Cocoon on the ground, and they're going for it.
Everyone on Team Expert actually went in there to tank that damage from 7-sided strike. A throw is low on health, but still alive. Hope coming in from Curson. Bad Benny on the back left, dealing with Zelia. Zelia looking for a kill. Can he get it? Uwa comes out. Illidan gets focused, and Expert is able to get a kill. It's a 1-for-1.
They trade 1-for-1, which is fantastic for them considering that they are talent down. Also, because Curson missed the Aegis. When he was trying to save Tracer, Tracer went for the recall, and that's why instead of hitting Tracer, he hit himself. And that was actually a big problem for them there. This is one of those panic moments when everything's on the line and either Tracer didn't call the recall or he didn't call it the Aegis. Whatever happened there, it was a bit of an overlap, and that can bring you in a really awkward position. But them killing Illidan was huge because he would have been able to hunt them down.
Illidan's up in 5 seconds with another hunt. But Expert with that kill, we're able to get pressure off where they're keeping the top right, so they keep it alive, and they also hit 16. So even talents for both of our teams. However, Illidan and Li Ming at 16 getting power spikes. That Mirror Ball in particular, pretty aggressive against Immortals.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Mirror Ball is fantastic here. But we also have now an additional stun on Muradin, and that just adds to the chain CC that we have with Leap, Storm Ball, then getting the Dwarf Toss into play. So there's now a lot of aspects on Expert where they are looking for that one kill. And their primary target next to Illidan is going to be Li Ming. If they can drop mana, that would be great for them, and it would be way less scary what Dignitas has on the field, since the resets are a big part of what Dignitas is trying to accomplish.
It's all about layering the leaps and the stuns for Team Expert. Can they hit it, and will Bakery be in a spot where he can save his teammates here? The heals coming out, as well as the Divine Shields, will need to be pivotal for his team. JPL taking harassment from Nick. Nick goes in and applies pressure on Snitch.
Now they're going for the Immortal Spell. Hunt comes in. They go for Sonya. Try to blow her up, and Aethero jumps out once again. Gets the shield immediately. But that's not quite how you want to use that leap. So right now he is still safe. Cooldowns were traded, but they are still attempting to push in.
I really feel like Kirsten, if he would just use the Aegis when the hunt comes in, that would stop the aggression coming their way, and then they could go in for a counter engage with the hunt. Regardless, Team Expert moves in and they harass.
I agree on the Aegis. He might have been a bit out of position and said, I can't help you here, but here we have it. Aegis comes out, Aethero moving in, 7-sided, being used. They're jumping on Min in the back. The Divine Shield saves him, doesn't even take damage. Bad Benny still in the middle of them. Murden not dying, heal after heal. They go for Aethero. He's still alive, but falls finally. Can they take Uther? No, they cannot.
Kirsten just clapping though like a seal on the left side. Gonna keep Nick alive, just barely with a Attainment Strike. Can Nick come in and get the lifesteal he needs to get a fight? Mane brings out an orb and he hits Tracer in the face.
Tracer down, Murden isolated, and this should be the end of Bad Benny. He tries to escape, but small chance of that happening. More shields taken down as we see the escape, or the attempted one. JPL wants more kills. They already have 3, and they will claim the Immortal here once again.
The Immortal being grabbed by Dignitas. Expert put up a fight. They got the other one low, but there are keeps in trouble for them now, as Team Dignitas will be able to back home Hearthstone, grab a bunch of mana, grab some health as well, and push as a team towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, in that bottom lane, this is of course another key that is going to be assailed now. We have 8 kills versus 3, and it's only 1 level in experience lead. But if Dignitas now takes towers and maybe the keep itself, even if they cannot make the play for the core, the big advantage they have is that level 20 is so much closer for them, and it will allow them to even be more aggressive. But talking about that last team fight, I absolutely agree with what you said earlier. If Kirsten hits that Aegis just a bit faster and we do not see Leap as a cooldown used to disengage, then Expert has more kill potential trying to use it as an opening in the fight.
Well, they have maybe one more opening here. The Aegis is a bit late here. Zilli comes in with the hunt. We're going to have a thorough living, though. He is full health, and he can use a leap as an engage. Tassadar on the back left is low on health. Snitch goes in for the kills. Kirsten brings up the heal. Can ADRD get away? He has a shield.
Wow.
Zalia going in. Divine Shield has been popped.
But Tassadar is alive. Tassadar still lives, and they still have their leap. They can see if they have a chance on maybe jumping on someone here. They're trying to. Nick is chasing, but Bad Benny is so low that they can't do anything yet. But they go straight for that Immortal once more. Biggest concern is still the level 20 for Dignitas. Expert would have loved to chase here and take a kill.
Expert agrees with you right now. They are well aware of that 20 being a threat, and they are looking for a fight. You see them as a group of 5 in the bottom, chasing after Kirazim and Uther. And right now, Dignitas is thinking about grabbing the Mercs in the bottom, but Murden, with the engage here, will be able to scout out the members on the left side. Expert takes the Mercs themselves, while Illidan grabs top lane.
Yeah, Dignitas is going to let this one slide for now. They know that they have all the time in the world. They are nearly on 20. And up to the top, Li Ming and Illidan, if they take another wave here and then rotate to the rest of the team, they will have Storm Talents for the next fight. And that's what the experts have to be afraid of this. Team Expert on the retreat, and they also need to send someone to the top lane, obviously, since this camp is starting to push against the last remaining keep they have. And that is going to be Sonya.
Expert going to be looking for 20 themselves. Dignitas is about to hit it. The Immortal will be spawning in about 30 seconds, so they can be around level 19, 19 and a quarter potentially. So Expert will be close to 20, but not quite there. Dignitas is going to look to take that advantage and push forward and try to get kills. In fact, they're invading here. They're going straight for ADRD. Kirsten as well, taking damage.
Nick moving away, but Benny and Thero, are they engaging into this? Do they see an opening for a stun combo? Seems as for now they don't. And Dignitas is willing to, for now, just say, all right, you take the camp, it's fine. We will fight over the Immortal and take our own camp first. We still can take that level 20 fight whenever we want. And there's no way you're going to soak that entire level until the Immortal's on the map.
And the Immortals are here in 9 seconds. They'll be up for grabs. The 19th not even here for Expert.
I really like that Dignitas moved back. They didn't feel that this is the position where they want to fight. It was too cluttered. They said, guys, we have so much time on 20. Let's not just force the fight because we want to force a fight. Let's force it in the right circumstance, on a ground on the map where we are more comfortable with that. So I really like that they just gave it up and said, yeah, we can fight over the Immortal. We still have the 20 lead, and it's a much better position for us.
Now, this is a weird dance for Expert. They have to be slightly aggressive, but also be at a point where they use that Immortal as an anchor, something to retreat to. If JPL and crew come in with a Cocoon, they can get that number advantage and try to go for a fight. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Expert is being pushed in because they did use a mercenary camp, so they're working on getting that fort for that experience. But will it be getting them close? Not even. They're at 19.5 in experience.
Yeah, 19.5, and of course Sonya has to deep into the bot lane. That's the sign for Team Dignitas to immediately move in, and they are putting more pressure on it. 19.5 experts. They are in such a weird spot now. The camp at the top lane is starting to pressure, and it puts a lot of pressure on the Dignitas now. But of course the catapults are going to just lead that eventually. Sonya is still struggling for the Storm talents. And Team Expert is giving up the halftime show. They're saying, guys, we have to. We need that level. We need that bit of experience that puts us finally into a spot where we can contest Dignitas.
I'm expecting the moment that 20 hits, that Expert just pushes the go button. They got to put it all on the line here because Dignitas is in a spot where if they get this Immortal, that should be game over. 20 is up. Nick floating on the left. Illidan goes to the top left to deal with the mercenary camps. I'm watching Bad Binny, and I'm watching a Thorough.
Yeah, they're starting to jump in here once again. That's the move against JPL. Moves away, and it's an Uberak though, and also Mane helping him out here with a wave of force.
Expert's hanging in there at the moment. Bakery and Snitch on the top left is realizing that Expert is set up on the Immortal. Bad Binny is doing a great job of zoning though.
Dignitas going in again, looking for the opening, especially Sonya looking for the leap.
Shield comes out, gonna get that armor, he jumps in.
Yeah, we could see the follow-up, and not just yet. Hunt goes in, Thero is a bit low, but he zones them out. Cocoon is on the ground, and they are disrupting it immediately. Nick moves away, recalls barely, 7-sided, so much damage. Nick is still alive, but he needs to move out.
He needs some healing there. Kirsten just used it on the front line, though. Bad Vinny going forward, he's gonna hit the Stormbolt, but an ADRD right now is shredding through JPL.
They are so low, all of them, and Dignitas tries to tap the well. Illidan is working on his cooldown. He's auto-attacking the wave to the top. He will have the hunt up in a few more seconds.
Archon continues to be popping out here. The Infinite Archon really working out. JPL is low. The Thorough moves in. The leap pops out, and Zalia comes in.
Zalia comes in deep as he was trying to go for Sonya. Joining around against Snitch once again. Nick finally back in the fight, but this Immortal is so low.
Barely living with a slight health bar here. Nick and ADRD are looking for a fight. ADRD wants to keep this Archon up and moving, so he keeps moving in for fights.
Yeah, and we have at this point just still the defense of the bot lane. Every time they have to rotate Sonya away, trying to make sure that these catapults are not pushing in. It's 25 minutes into the game. If the catapults reach the core, they're going to do so much. They're trying to burn the shields down, but at the same time, they're still defending their own. They are doing quite well here, but if they lose the Immortal, it would definitely mean keep and probably game.
Expert is hanging by a thread. Cocoon is up for JPL. If he sees the moment, he can go in. We're going to have JPL taking damage. A Thorough brings up the slam, but the heals are here.
7 more seconds until Divine Shield is again ready for Uther. So Bakery will have the panic button once again. Kirsten is so far back here. He plays with the vision. He doesn't want Illidan to see him, and Illidan pressures now the top lane. He has the global hunt. He can do that easily. Nick low. Cocoon used. They're going in once again. Tracer recalls, gets out. Here comes the Divine Storm going in. The 7-sided hits on once more Oriel with the old Nick alive and gets the shields. They're trying to hunt Snitch, but they don't get the kill. Bakery on the other hand, he's low, and they are able to drop him. Uther down, but he still has Redemption.
Redemption's still available here, but they have found a moment to breathe. They move towards the Immortal, and they're going to start burning it down. It's a full-on race from both of our teams. Bad Benny's trying to slow it down. Who will get the victory? It's going to be Dignitas, just barely with 2k health in the shield.
80 already got stunned by the Immortal. If he doesn't get stunned, they have a really good chance of winning the race here. The keeps have both fallen already. This is a horrible spot for Expert to be in. They were really hoping to at least get the objective, but now we have Dignitas tapping the fountain, going back into the fight and grouping to finish Team Expert off on this third map.
They have to get on this Immortal ASAP, but they also have to deal with Dignitas. This is a unit of 5 are heading down to the Immortal on the bottom right. They're going straight for the core. Zelia's already on the core. Illidan is completely stopping right now. Cocoon has been used.
Cocoon being used already, they just go for it. The Immortal hasn't even touched the core yet, and now that that happens, it is really lights out for the Experts. Team Dignitas takes down Team Expert on Battlefield of Eternity and takes the lead in the series with a 2-1.
Dignitas with some stall control at the end, but Expert was certainly putting up a fight. It felt like there was a moment where they can actually walk away with the Immortal and start to mount a comeback, but Dignitas pulls it out. Nice pressure from Zelia in the top right corner too to get that keep moving in and put a lot of chaos, a lot of threat onto Expert to where Dignitas could find that moment to finish off the Immortal.
It was a really cool game. A lot of good team fights that we saw there, and especially when we were looking at Leap. They had a few cool scenes where they just jumped in, tried to get the kill. Oftentimes, though, Aethera had to use it as a disengage and couldn't really get anything out of the stun potential. Dignitas controlled fights just a bit too well there, and they just showed why they are such a strong team. So, well done here once again by Dignitas. Series is not over yet, though.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the things, the risks that you run when you pick up a Leap, is that you're in a spot where Sonya suddenly is not as durable as she normally is when you have that Wrath. So, having to go for the disengage is a big deal. I felt like towards the end, Kirsten and crew were getting on a point where it's like, okay, once a hunt comes in, let's drop down the Aegis. A couple times it's still a bit too late, but they started to get a feel for how they actually wanted to utilize that Aegis and make sure they could turn around for the fight. And mostly they did that because at level 20, when they got that Shield of Hope, they were able to sustain through just enough. And you saw how much of a tug of war it was between the two teams.
It got definitely very intense in the late game, but especially once Illidan had his global completely ready on 20, he just could put so much pressure onto Team Expert that it was very difficult for them to deal with it. You just push for the keep the entire time, or you escort catapults to your opponent's core, and you can still join the fight within a second once that Experts say, we need to engage right now. So Dignitas, great game here, good draft for them. They take the lead. But I want to see Game 4. I want to see what the Experts have ready for us on the next map.
I mean, the question starts to jump out here. Is Dignitas having a hard time these last couple of weeks, or is it more that just EU is so good in general that they're able to take these big matches, these small amount of series here and there off of Dignitas?
Wait, they just won.
No, yeah, they won, but it's still like these are moments where it's like these are very close fights. For Dignitas, is it as dominant as Fnatic, if you will?
Oh, no, I think that's absolutely fine. First of all, the opponents that Fnatic had so far are expected to be a bit lower in the rankings.
Sure.
Of course, at this point, we don't know just yet how the standings are going to come out. But I think Experts were always the team that was trying to push within the top 3, so that they are the ones that really give Dignitas a bit of a run for their money. I think that's totally fair. Sure. Especially since I believe Aethera was a good addition to them, so it strengthened the team. At least that's the impression I got from the matches we've seen so far. So I think that's still something where it's okay that they are able to at least force Dignitas and the other teams to give their all to make that happen. So
it's just exciting for me to see a top 3 team being stressed so much by both the good guys and now Expert as well. Dignitas obviously pulling forward with the victory there, but they're going to have to do one more here to set out the entire series here in the best of 5. Expert on the other side, man, they are just hanging in. Usually when you look at that composition that they are running, it can be quite difficult to get some kills working out for them, but they were just pulling it off slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, time was working in favor of Dignitas, and they played the map, not only the team fights. Their coordination in the team fight was great, and I really liked it, but I loved more how they were playing the map once they had the lead. And there was a couple of moments when it could have gone either way, and especially the misclick maybe at the bot lane where Oriel then hit herself with the Aegis since the recall was hit on Tracer. It's not really something where you can blame Curson on the Oriel for. He was trying to save Tracer. Tracer probably not communicating that properly. It was such a intense moment, But if the Aegis is safe there, maybe they can use it a second later to save someone else. But that's just what it comes down to. Dignitas forces you into a spot where you're pressured so much that you are at some point bound to make a mistake, and they are exploiting that.
Bound to collapse. All right, guys, game 4. Where are we going in this best-of-5 series? Can Dignitas finish it out, or will we see Expert gain a victory? Expert has decided to allow Dignitas to take the battleground, and they'll grab first pick, and we're going to go to Tomb of the Spider Queen.
So Tomb once again, and we've seen already a couple of great matches on Tomb. And yeah, double support opening could definitely once again happen here during the draft. We've seen a high focus on that, and especially on the last map, double support on both sides. It's just a big rule in Europe right now.
And we're also seeing Illidan more and more, actually, on Tomb of the Spider Queen in particular. We've seen him twice now in the last couple of weeks, which is interesting to think about. Him bringing out the hunt. It's still effective on small battlegrounds. It's all about that isolation, moving in for a fight and trying to get to a spot where you can take an advantage and move forward in the fight.
Yeah, opening the maps on a small battleground allows you to just have more momentum going with Illidan. And Zelia plays a great Illidan. But I have to say that I was also impressed how, especially experts, controlled him on Towers of Doom. So they have shown that they have the tools that they need to lock Illidan down if they start with that first pick on Uther in particular, so that they have the stuns. And they're one of the teams that moves heavily into the Divine Storm as well to get that additional stun in over the potential Divine Shield that they could use to keep their own backline safe.
Well, speaking of Towers of Doom, one of the ways they had the control was they had a Nubec and they also had Medivh, which are phenomenal for actually controlling this type of fights. A Cocoon, if an Illidan dives in on a support, makes him pull back a little bit, but the Leyline Seals in particular were great too. So hopefully going into Team of Spider Queen, they can get those tools to handle the Illidan, because he is someone that is a bit of a nuisance.